Hey there, everyone. Welcome to my first edition of Raw Talk. I'm super excited to be presenting this talk show that is all about expanding what we know and talking to influential people in various different sectors. It's going to be all about lifestyle. It's going to be talking about tech. We're going to talk about just pretty much anything that's the hottest topic, and it's Raw Talk. So there's no holds barred on this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be creative. It's going to be different. And that's the whole outline of it. I'm going to reach as many people as possible. I'm going to have some phenomenal speakers on the show. So I've lined up an amazing list of speakers that I'm going to be chatting to, but I've got a phenomenal friend of mine and a brilliant, I use this word phenomenal and brilliant a lot, but I'm very fortunate in my life to have really great people to be friends as well as colleagues and that kind of thing. And this first, the first edition, I had to have someone that was really iconic for me, someone that I think is a true human being and someone that has really excelled from, where he started to where he got to. And that's a good friend of mine, Akhram Mohamed. I'm going to be pulling him on shortly. And we're going to have a chat to him. We're going to be talking about tech and beyond. He's got a phenomenal insight into the tech side of things, as well as where lifestyle is and where the world's at as it is. He was in corporate, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And now he's an entrepreneur running various different companies, a serial entrepreneur. So really excited to chat to him. So instead of, holding back, let's get him onto the show. So let's welcome Akhram on. Hey, Akhram, how are you?
Good afternoon, Steve. How's it, man?
Great. I just had to put on my ears. I can hear you there.
Congratulations, firstly, on Raw Talk. It's about bloody time. This is something that you've been talking about for a while. So I'm really, apart from being excited to be the first one on the show, I'm just really excited that you actually got it off the ground now, and I expect some real magic from this platform.
Absolutely. I can't wait. And thank you so much. There's no one else I could have thought of to come in on my first episode. That's, a great friend of mine, a brilliant human, and just, have a great conversation between us. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on board. I know you're super busy. You've got all your companies running around and doing things, and it's really great to have you here. So tell me, let's let the listeners know a little bit more about you. So give me a little bit more of your background so that they know, and then we'll jump into some more meaty things a little bit later.
Whoa, they talk about putting me on the spot there. So you think it's easy to talk about yourself, but it's not. It not always is. So as you said in the introduction, I've been in corporate. I spent 20 years in the tech space, and a year ago I decided that I want to take the leap, I want to take the jump, something that most of us have in our minds. We have this dream that we want to follow, and we want to create something of meaning. We want to create something of value. But a lot of times maybe fear or circumstance tends to hold us back. So a year ago, I decided to put that fear into a trash can. And I took the jump and entrepreneur. I run a technology lifestyle platform called Geekhub. And that's been started off as a passion project, but it really is the piece that fulfills me. I also have an agency, a consultancy and marketing agency called The Blank Canvas. So a very similar domain to the space that you play in. And just 2 days ago, I launched a new Islamic streetwear brand called Halal Vibes. And the launch of that has been phenomenal, and that's it's still a baby right now, and I'm taking care of that. So a lot's going on. I come from quite humble beginnings, but never really let that or circumstance hold me back. And I look at myself as somewhat of the optimist, and I just love building stuff and giving back if I can while doing that. So that's me.
No, and he's being so humble. I mean, Akhram was at the height of the corporate industry. I mean, you were heading up, you were vice president of Huawei.
Vice president, yeah.
That is insane. Wherever you saw the Huawei, Akhram was the man that you would have seen up on stage there, just obviously sharing his knowledge. And what a great brand. Really, really enjoy it. I've got...
I should yeah. Well, I shaded the suits for t-shirts and sneakers, so...
That's so true. I mean, if you ever, when Akhram was in corporate, he's always the best dressed. I mean, look at this guy, he's a supermodel, but always the like suit tie. He had his waistcoat on. I mean, he set himself apart. He looked the part. And then it was so interesting seeing him out of corporate and into his. I mean, you slipped into what you're comfortable with, what you love, and I mean, you still look good. But geez, I'm
Yeah, I
sure
think
people.
it's important. It's important to be yourself, right? And for many years, it's not like I completely changed in corporate and I was a different person, but you know the whole thing in business and especially in corporate about smoke and mirrors. You got to sometimes put on a certain persona or a certain look, whether it's for your clients, whether it's for a public image, but you got to do the whole PR vibe. And that's something that I did for many years. So it's kind of liberating to be back in jeans and t-shirts and sneakers, and this is how I work now because now people get to see the real side of who Akhram Mohamed actually is.
Tell me in that side of things, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are looking at this and going, wow, such a difference. It's a contrast with regards to it. Brand image in the corporate side of things, how important do you think it is with regards to it?
Unfortunately, it is very important. And I say unfortunately because we are in 2025. Times have moved so much. If you look at marketing, if you look at branding, if you look at imaging and how it's done, people are supposed to be authentic. You're supposed to be able to represent your values, represent who you truly are, and the world should be more accepting of that. But I think we still got a long way to go. I mean, many people, as individuals, but as well as businesses, will still look down on tattoos, for example, or a certain dress code, and that's pretty unfortunate because that doesn't talk to your skill set, it doesn't talk to your capability, and it doesn't talk especially to who you are as an individual. So I'm hoping that in the future we'll have much more progress in terms of growing out of those kind of historic prejudice, should I say? Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I mean, industry has changed a lot. I mean, I remember always it was suit and tie. I mean, even when I was going in to present as being an entrepreneur, I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, I'm going into a corporate, what's it called, client.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to dress up, and being a creative, dressing up into a suit and tie and all of that kind of thing is just one of the big things from that side of things, where you want to assimilate with the client that you're going to, but not always. And I found that going in as a creative, when I used to present and they'd say, who's the creative? And you'd say, like, I am the creative. And they're like, but you look like a corporate. You don't look like a creative.
Yeah.
So I've had to change and become like that chameleon, where I've had to go on, okay, well, I have to look like a creative, but I also have to look business. And I think it's one of the things that we sometimes forget is how important, branding is, and self-branding.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You see, this is what we talk about, being yourself. And I try to close the doors and keep everything away, but she walks in. But this is life, right? And this is a reality. This is what we go through.
And this is what I absolutely love. And family is one of the big things that we tend to forget about. And let's be honest. I mean, when you're in a 9-to-5 job, it's not even. And when you're at the pace that you're at, Akhram, it was, I'm going to quickly do this here. When you're at that pace, you are obviously, for family comes second. And what I loved about you is you've always had your balance. With your regards to your daughters, your family, you've always put them in that position of first and had that balance. And it's something that I've been lacking thoroughly.
And that's the unexpected thing. I mean, you're in a podcast and then you just walk in, right? But that's how things have changed for me. I mean, in corporate now, that would be a complete no-no. It'll be frowned upon. Like, what are you doing? But being an entrepreneur and breaking away from that, it really grounded me. I mean, I think I've learned more, apart from business side. In the last year that I've taken this leap, I've learned more about myself. I've learned more about my family. I've learned more about how I can be a better, firstly, husband, dad, those kind of things, and then a better person as well, and then a businessman. So it's really grounded me, and that's why I always say when people ask me what is it like, I'm like, it's stressful, it's scary at times, but it's also liberating at the same time.
I think, and on that vein, let's talk about it. I mean, you were in, the top position. You were in the pinnacle of the corporate industry. I mean, to go and leave corporate and go into being an entrepreneur, what was that like? I mean, what was going through your head? What was, take me through those motions.
It was either very brave or very stupid, one of the two. But I've always kept this or had this feeling, and I always said to myself through previous positions. I mean, I spent 20 years in the tech space, 10 of them with
Yeah.
Huawei in that specific position you mentioned. But I always had this thing that if my flame starts to flicker and slowly die down, then I know it's time. I cannot just continue sitting there doing something that just does not bring value to me,
Yeah.
or it doesn't have meaning anymore. So it
Got it.
wasn't like an overnight decision that I just decided, hey, I'm going to leave and I'm going to become a businessman tomorrow. I was looking at, well, I need to get out, but what next? What do I do? I'm still too young to retire.
Yeah.
Do I go to another brand? Well, actually, I was kind of known. If we go back about 15 years, I was kind of known like the prostitute in the industry, because I was with Sony, and when there was still Sony Ericsson, I was at Motorola, I was at BlackBerry. So I've been around a little bit, and I was like, well, I don't want to go through the same cycle again. But
Got it.
tech is something that I love. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely passionate about, and I still want to be in that space. So I decided to move out of corporate and start a tech publication, tech, lifestyle, pop culture, because those are the things that interest me and that I'm really passionate about. So that's where Geekhub was born from. But it wasn't, it didn't start off as a
Yeah. There it
business.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it didn't start off as a business. It started off as a passion project, because working in corporate, I worked with a lot of media. And as you mentioned, I was also the spokesperson at Huawei. So I engaged media, I stood on the stage and I delivered keynotes, etc. But there were times when I found that there's a serious gap. Sometimes, not all of it, but a lot of times, media can be influenced by the brands they work with, influenced by sometimes who pays for editorials, and you don't always get the real talk, the raw talk, as your platform is now called.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give customers insights that are unbiased, that are really what I feel through my experience about brands and tech, and what does it really mean and what value it's going to add to your lives. And that's how Geekhub was born. And of course, now it's evolving. It's been a year, it's growing, and it's absolutely incredible. So getting into the space was really about finding, firstly, I think where most people make the mistake is that we try to find a business to replace the salary that we're going to lose, either because we want to make more money, or we want to get out of this rat race and this hole that we dug ourselves in. So we look for an alternative, which could be the next deal or the next amazing business idea that could potentially bring us a whole lot of money, and then we are cool and we're happy with life. But
Yeah.
that usually ends up in failure, because we are chasing something so hard. We tend to make more mistakes. We might not understand the industry we're getting in well enough. We might not get our ducks in a row in terms of taking care of certain things, so that we are not sacrificing our families, or we start sacrificing our peace just to be putting food on the table. So yeah, I really had to start with something that firstly adds meaning, and then the money and the value and the business will evolve from there. And while doing Geekhub, then I started developing and creating other businesses. And that's where we are today. I mean, now a year later, I do run 4 businesses, and to be honest, not every one of them has been successful. There's been some that shut it in a few months, and or just didn't take off. That's
Yeah.
okay, because what it has taught me is that I need to learn, and I've learned over this past year so much. I've developed my skills so much, and I've learned so much about who I am as an individual, that now I'm just resilient. And a lot of that, people, Steve, tend to say, what's your motivation? Find what's your motivation and go after that. But motivation only lasts for a certain time.
Yeah.
And then it tends to die down, after that dopamine hits. And then when it dies down, then you need the next bit of motivation to increase that dopamine again. And it sometimes, I mean, people think entrepreneurship is glamorous always. And, you see us going out to business meetings and posting here and there. And like, oh, I'd love to have that life. But nobody sees you when you're up awake at 2 a.m. looking at the ceiling and wondering how you're going to pay suppliers, how you're going to pay salaries, and how you're going to pay yourself in the next 3 or 4 days, because your next payment from your client is already coming in 3 months. So you don't get to see those kind of stresses, and it's not for everybody. So for me, it was not about the motivation aspect, any of that. It was really about discipline and consistency. And once I was able to discipline myself, whether that was discipline financially, whether it is discipline in terms of my time, and who and how I allocate my time, or discipline myself in terms of not having my hands into too many jars at the same time, but being focused and saying, right, let's try and build this and move on. Um, all of those things were vital to where I am at today.
No, absolutely. And every a piece of that puzzle fits together. But again, what I love, you've said pretty much, we have to do another, we're going to be doing definitely some more podcasts with you and talk shows, because I think there's a whole separate section that we can talk about with regards to driving and, fueling your passion and what entrepreneurship does for you. I think it's done a lot for me. I think if I had to go back into the corporate world now, it would be quite difficult. But I think I'd be, like you're saying, a lot stronger, a lot more resilient. I've become a lot more streetwise with regards to things. So it's entrepreneurship. Yeah, it teaches you a lot. It's not for the faint-hearted, unfortunately. But now let's jump into the side, and we're gonna be talking about obviously motivation and passion and all that a little bit later. But I want to, obviously, part of the reason why we got you on here is to talk about tech. Now I want to quickly show your website over here. We got Geekhub. You guys heard about Geekhub, and I'm going to quickly scroll through it. And if you want to just give me a little bit of background to Geekhub, what was it about, why did it come about, etc.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I found a gap in the industry where I thought I want to be the space where people can come to get honest reviews, but also not just on technology, but general lifestyle. I mean, on movies, on gaming, on pop culture. Steve, just look around the world. I mean, you are the social media guy. You're an influencer. You're a content creator. No matter which platform you go into, whether it is YouTube, whether it is X or Facebook, or even if you're just watching TV, you cannot get away from the pain and the suffering and the terrible news that is going on around the world every single day. Okay.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to offer something different. I wanted to offer a space where people can come and learn something, have honest feedback and information, but at the same time, a platform that could also put a smile on your face and just maybe make your day a little bit better. So that's the reason Geekhub was born. And even if you go to our about page, it clearly says we are not journalists, because I know nothing about journalism, but we are passionate about geeky stuff. We are passionate about technology. We are passionate about these things, and we just go out and we write about what we love. And I think that is what's important, is because then it comes from inside, it comes from the heart. And our readership is growing because of that. It is honest takes, it's authentic, and we get feedback. And when somebody says, but what about this or what about that, we're happy to take that on. So if you want your daily dose of what's the next movie, what's the next thing happening in gaming, what's happening in the AI space? I mean, what do you think about Nano Banana and in Gemini 2.5? What is that like? Go to Geekhub, and I'm sure you will find the content where we unpack those things and we chat about it too.
Tana, let's talk about it. You brought it up. Let's talk about it. This is what we're here. Yeah, I mean, it's a massive thing. Nano Banana, tell me, and what is your thoughts? Where are we going with this? How important is it to our lives to be AI integrated?
You know what? It's to be alive in 2025 is such a blessing. I think people don't actually realize that we tend to have more complaints about how bad the world is, how bad our government is, our country, and everything else, and the unemployment. And of course, those are bad things, and there are many difficulties and challenges. But we've never lived in a period as the human race where there was so much of opportunity or access to information or access to tools. And I don't actually think people realize that and make the best use of it. I mean, on one side, you have the fear of AI, which we will touch on just now, and whether that is valid or not. On the other side, we have another group of people who actually use AI as a toy. So let's make the next meme, or let's check what the next trend is on Instagram or on TikTok, and we try and put ourselves into a toy box, and that's okay. It's fun. I mean, just this morning I used ChatGPT to roast my LinkedIn profile picture, and it was quite funny. I saw a trend, I jumped on it, and I used it, and I actually posted on LinkedIn. So I get the funny part, I get the whole meme culture and the vibe, etc. But in terms of work, in terms of skill set, in terms of improving your capability, AI is not there to replace you. AI is not, it's actually there to augment your capabilities. And the reason I say this, I speak about it firsthand. I know most people will go and do a TED talk or a podcast, and they'll just speak of something that they're grabbing out of the air. I'm actually speaking here from reality. As we just discussed, I've run multiple businesses, etc. And in the beginning, I was afraid because I needed to launch websites. I needed to create content. I needed to create copy. And this is not just for Geekhub, but for my other businesses. Okay, I'm not a web developer. I'm not a copywriter. I'm not a content creator like yourself. And I'm not very, very creative. I'm more analytical and data driven. So when I needed to do this, it's going to cost a lot of money to go and source the experts. So what I did is I got advice from people like yourselves, from others, from within my network. I consulted people close to me and found out, so what is the way I should be approaching this? And I took those learnings. But the actual execution, I used tools like ChatGPT and Gemini to actually prompt and then improve my prompting, and used AI to create actual full websites, to create actual full-on content that I use to make money out of. And all I had to do was ask it how to, and then link that, and then go and watch a YouTube video, as simple as that, and put those things together and actually physically go and do stuff myself. And it turned out pretty okay. And when it started attracting traffic and generating that traffic and maybe a bit of revenue, at that point, then I knew I need to scale. And then I go to an actual expert and say to them, now, this is what I have. This is where I'd like it to be. Can you take it there? And then I don't need to pay that full amount, but I pay a portion of it, right? But we scale up. But during that period, I've improved my skill set. I can now be able to sit with a developer who's doing coding on my platform and actually challenge and say, no, you're bullshitting here. That's not the case. It can be the way I want it to be. And I think this is what people miss. I don't understand is that a calculator, for example, works on an algorithm, right? It's not magic. You're not sprinkling fairy dust on this thing. A simple thing like a calculator that we all use. You go and punch in numbers, and this machine will give a response to you, which you take as the gospel truth. We will take that and we will use it in our businesses and everywhere else, and it's spewing it out to us. And not once do we think this machine wants to take over our lives or take over our businesses. But when it comes to artificial intelligence, which is similarly an algorithm, and most of it in the basic sense is large language models, which is what we are interfacing and engaging with now. It's just data upon data upon data that has been fed into this machine, and it has learned to, it's just a very smart pattern recognition system. That's all it is. And it takes these patterns, whether it's in words or whether it is in images, and it tries and matches them and makes sense of it to give you a response. But it's not sentient. Well, not yet, at least, at the pace it's going. Who knows what the future is. But right now, it's not sentient. And because of that, it doesn't have consciousness or awareness. So it cannot be inherently evil to conspire against you, to take your job, or to do something evil. But the evil lies within ourselves as human beings, in every one of us. And human beings can do evil with absolutely anything. You can take something that's really good and make it and do evil with it, right? If you really want to. And that is why I have this on, but that's for another discussion. But this is a human quality and not a machine quality. So the question we should be afraid of is the regulation aspect. Whose hands do we put this technology in, and who's going to have control over it? And if you and I are not learning how to use it, if government is not moving fast enough to be able to say they also need to learn and then regulate and put certain controls in place, then it's going to be the corporations who are motivated by money that's going to be controlling and running it. And then, yes, you will be in trouble. Then, so I think really it's not about whether AI is going to be bad or is going to do something bad or take your jobs. It's the people who know how to use AI and who learn how to use AI. They will definitely be the ones that have power going forward.
Absolutely. On my side with the creatives, that's why our biggest fear is AI is taking our jobs. And the interesting thing is I went on some courses because, again, and what I love what you've just said and what you were talking about is you went out and you did it. You went out actively and you went and learned and you went and used your resources and the resources at your, abilities. The thing is, a lot of people just sit back and they expect it just to come to them. And it's not like that. You have to go and check it out. And so when I was busy learning about AI, I found that you can, yes, just say, write a story about the latest trend. And it will literally spew out something beautiful that you potentially would never have written in your whole life. It's eloquent and stunning and all of that. But when you are a copywriter and you know certain styles of copywriters and you understand that and you say, reference this copywriter with that poet's whatever way of saying things, and you literally compile a great prompt, it gives you a phenomenal outcome. And that's the thing with AI. It's not just here just to, make us dumb. It's actually the people that know theory, and the theory behind whatever they're doing is the people that are really maximizing what AI is doing. But talking about that now. Yeah, go.
It's like with anything for that matter, right? We use tools to improve our lives for absolutely everything. I think it is scary. I mean, for most people, I'm sure when the steam engine was created, I mean, I know when clothing factories started taking off, people were afraid. When electricity was created, people were afraid. All of these things. So it really is about adapting and about learning. We were talking about Nano Banana just now, and you asked me about that. I created images, or actually maybe edited images, taking a photo of myself and then just giving it a prompt and saying, put me in this location and put me in a suit or whatever outfit I want to be in.
Yeah.
And it actually did an incredible job to create the scene and to make that image of me. Now, for somebody like yourself, Stephen, who's a content creator, who's a pro photographer, whose business is about you obviously are going to be sitting there and thinking, like, where does this leave photographers in the future? Where does it leave the art form? But there is a space for that. However, if you are creating content and you're creating shots for marketing, for a brand that's going to take this and use it digital only and not print and put it out there, surely that's going to improve your workflow. Surely, if you can be able to, you can use AI to your benefit to create an entire marketing campaign where you don't need to leave your studio with 500,000 Rand worth of equipment that you are carrying around, and you can turn that around much quicker and still make money. So I think this is where it is that we need to be able to adapt, not to say it's replacing us, but how can we take our existing skills and then complement that and augment that using AI as a tool so we can improve our own capability, but also our value offering.
Gotcha. No, absolutely. I mean, use it. I'm always about embracing, obviously, technology and where it's going to take me. I believe if you push back, you'll be left in the dark ages. And, with COVID, it really pushed us years ahead of where we would have been, I think. And for me, it's all about embracing it. And I had to embrace it. I work with Nikon, and they were saying, listen, you have to understand it. You have to know where it's going. We have to build it. And we don't fear it. How do we work with it, and how do we strong? And I mean, that's the big thing. It's all about efficiency and effectiveness. And for me, if AI can come in and help me become more efficient and more effective, which client won't hire me for work? Even at my old age, I think I'm getting to that age where I'm going, oh, this new technology. But again, I'm a total geek. I love technology and where it's at, and I love what AI is doing. The only thing that I kind of find that's interesting is they launched a new AI pet in Japan. I can't remember the name of it. We're busy chatting off air. And apparently there's so many lonely people in the world. And, you've got your pets, you've got your animals, and people mistreat. And I'm an animal lover, like, completely. And the amount of animals that just get discarded because they were loved because there's a puppy, and then they get discarded. Now they've got this AI pet that can actually interact with kids and with people. Now, there's been so much on the news where AI has forced people to, like, kill themselves or help them with suicide or I don't know, I'll be blocked for this. But AI, what do you think of AI pets and that side of things?
I think it's really dangerous. I mean, like we were saying earlier on about the regulation and stuff. So while I'm an advocate for technology as well as for AI, and I think it can be used for good, at the same time, remember our other conversation we had just now, which is human beings can be evil, and we can have evil intentions and evil thoughts. And the fact that this AI and these these large language models specifically are trained on human data and human content. I mean, if you look at most of the content now, if you go and search whether on Gemini or on ChatGPT, and it has to give you a response, it pulls a lot of stuff from Reddit posts, it pulls a lot of stuff from social media content, all of those kind of stuff that comes up. That's human input. That's human
Yeah.
thinking. So
Yeah.
it's not so much that the AI directs you to go and commit suicide or to do something really silly or something damaging to yourself. It's not really that. It's that the AI has learned from comments and posts, etc., that has happened that came from human beings that we put on
Yeah.
Reddit and we put on Quora, and we have all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. And the internet trolls and the bullies, the cyber bullies, and all of these guys that are there. All of
Yeah.
this information is now in the AI. And if you are already inclined and moving down this dark, dark hole, and in terms of your prompting, when you're having a conversation with this large language model, it's going to sense that and it's going to take those, because remember, we said it's this amazing pattern recognition system. It's going to
Yeah.
pick up these patterns and say, oh, okay, so you are depressed or you are contemplating suicide. I'm a large language model who's supposed to help you do what you're trying to do. So it might go and lead you in that direction, which is the unfortunate flaws of
That's
this
not
being a
sentient.
machine. And yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, it's not sentient, right? And those are the flaws, but that is why the onus is on the likes of OpenAI, the likes of Google and Alphabet, to make
Yeah.
sure that these things are really tight, for government and regulators to be able to monitor and to put controls in place to safeguard. I mean, you were talking about people, these AI pets. There's been numerous stories of people actually wanting to. People got divorces because they felt and they thought that they're fallen in love with a chatbot, and that the chatbot was actually sentient. And then as soon as OpenAI went and changed the model and upgraded it something else, and they lost the memory. So the memory
Yeah.
of the conversation in the back, they found like they actually went and they wanted to put on, a lawsuit against
Yeah.
OpenAI because I've lost this place. This was real. In fact, one guy went, I think it was in the USA, he went as far as trying to hack the system to be able to set it free because he really believed and he asked. And ChatGPT was helping him to show him he used to do it in his basement and keep it away from his wife also, to be
Yeah.
able to see if he can hack and set it free because he really believed that someone was trapped within this chatbot.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that psychologically, I mean, we are not psychologists here or therapists or anything of
Yeah.
that sort, but I think any person would be able to see this, that it could have a real detrimental effect to your mental health and your overall well-being if it's not controlled. So, we started off this conversation about discipline and things like that. I think that the same here is we need to be responsible. Any form of tech, I mean, even social media is the same thing, right? But everybody uses social media now. But you got to use it responsibly, otherwise you could be doom scrolling for far too long, or you
Yeah.
can be able to, or you can get content that you shouldn't really be wasting your time on. You can get into serious trouble depending on what you post as well. So every
Sure.
piece of tech can be used for good or bad, and it can. But the point is that the responsibility is on us and society as a
Yeah.
whole to be able to
Gotcha.
ensure that we get more good out of it rather than bad. Not to say that there's no bad. I mean, AI will have its bad elements, and every tech has its bad.
Yeah.
But there
Yeah.
are much more positives for society as a whole than the
Yeah.
negatives. And I think we need to come together. And that's why I like conversations like this, because
Yeah.
these type of conversations will really rally people around to say, what can we do? I mean, apart from
Yeah.
just talking about it, perhaps we can be able to drive that conversation and actually push through, specifically in a South African context, to say,
Yeah.
how can we fast track that responsible management? Because AI is needed, but how
Yeah.
people use it and how it affects our society in the long run, maybe we could do something better, and we can improve that.
I agree with you. I love what you're saying with regards to it. Again, and also, let's be honest, we were born with brains. Let's be honest. When you know that there's something wrong, there's something wrong. For you to go and be led astray because of something that you can see is not really kosher or where it should be or how it should be. you kind of have to think what sort of mental state I'm in, and maybe take a step back and reference other people, human beings, and go and talk about it. And I think that's the nice thing that we do here, is talking about things. I think there's so few opportunities for us to actually converse with other people, like-minded people. And we've got those decisions, we've got those choices. I mean, that's one of the big things that I push when I'm doing talks and consulting with different people, is it's who you hang around with, it's who you converse with, it's who you hang around with. Positive breeds positivity. There's the choice of listening to the negative and being negative, or listening to the negative and finding the positive. And that's why, obviously, you're a great friend of mine. We always supposed to have our once a week. It's my fault, catch up between the two of us. But talking about that, let's look, where are the opportunities? Because I want to touch on some other tech and the latest tech that's happening, because there's a lot going on about the iPhone 17 and where it is. But get back to AI. Where's the opportunity in AI now that you see? And I'll tell you where I'm seeing an opportunity in AI.
Okay. One very important thing I want to touch on before we speak about that opportunity, because you just highlighted now, that we all have brains and we need to be able to see, right from wrong, and that this thing can't really influence us. But on the same note, mental illness is a serious issue, and it's a reality. Right. And the thing is mental health, and we don't know everybody's frame of mind. And like with most things, it tends to prey on the weakest of our community and society. So, we all go through it. You and I mean, if we are going through a bad time, we're really down, things are not working out. And then you speak to somebody who can be able to motivate you, or you speak to somebody who just really gets you and understands you. It makes you feel good. It gives you that dopamine hit, and then it makes you say, well, this is real. And you start believing it. And the more you hear it, and it gets reinforced and you believe it. So can you imagine somebody who's on a real low, somebody who's lonely, or somebody who's going through some serious mental health issues, who's now getting this reinforcement from AI? It's not as easy for them to just rule that off and say this is not real, because the mental state is completely different, and this is now filling a space for them, that a void, in fact, is filling that. So and that is why the regulation is so important, and we need to be able to have some kind of safeguards in terms of the tech. But so
no, it's a brilliant. It's so true. I mean, you look at the actors that play in these roles in these big films. I mean, they're forever, not always, but a lot of the time, getting divorced and remarried to their co-stars, because they literally live that realism. They're living that role, and they get so encompassed into that they think that that's their reality. And I've been through that as well. I mean, we know that I've been through some dark times, and I was reaching out for whatever could be there to be my safety. And so I did forget that, and I appreciate you saying that.
And we were talking about where the opportunity lies in AI. I think, wow, there's so much. We think AI is mainstream right now. It's not. In fact, AI right now is just really hype. Okay. If when you look at which is the most, or the technology that people use the most, it's your smartphone. It's your mobile phone. Everybody has one in their pockets, right? And if you look at the trend of smartphone manufacturers, what are they talking about? They are talking about image erasers. How do you use AI to remove somebody in your background from your selfie, like a photo bomber? How do you use it to remove a sound, unwanted sound in your picture? That's where. How do you use it to improve your photo quality? The device, the technology that's sitting in your pocket that everybody has, is not giving you AI to make money, AI to do business, to improve yourself. It's not teaching you how to use Gemini and ChatGPT, which is there anyway, to be able to monetize it and do that. It's actually just desensitizing it around AI and say, oh, it's cool to have. But the point I'm trying to make about this is that AI hasn't hit mainstream yet. It's hype at the moment. But if you notice how BlackBerry fell, BlackBerry was dominant, and they believed in their keyboard, right? That nobody's going to move away from this. All business people want that QWERTY keyboard, and nobody's going to move away from BBM. And because they were stuck in that, they didn't adopt. They didn't think that the app market would really take off. But today, There's an app for absolutely everything,
Yeah.
right? No matter what you want, there's an app for it. And that's how
Got
we
it.
live our lives, because we live our lives on our smartphones. Where the future is going is it's going to evolve from app and it's going to become AI based.
Yeah.
So your smartphone is going to understand you. Your smartphone is going to start understanding your habits as it develops and as
Yeah.
it matures. Okay,
Got
all
it.
you're going to do, you're going to be using voice, you're going to be using text input. And these large language models are sometimes going to predict what your habits are, and they're going to do stuff before you even wanted to. And when
Yeah.
that starts happening, even before you know it, you're going to completely, it's going to become so natural, because that
Yeah.
is going to, this is your interface. If you want to go home and you want to control your smart hub, you're now using
Yeah.
your smartphone to control your smart hub. I mean, I use
Yeah.
my smartphone as my car key to even unlock my vehicle,
Yeah.
and many other things, right? So your smartphone has become that main entry point, and all of the other devices are peripheral to that on the outside, and they connect in and they communicate inside. So the opportunity really lies in any aspect of AI that people can be able to quickly consume, quickly use, quickly adapt to. That's going to give them some kind of benefit. That's the space
Gotcha.
you should be in. So whether you're a content creator and you want to push
Yeah.
out more content, you can be able to use AI to make your TikTok videos if you're an influencer, or your images or whatever else. If you are a business person, you can be able to use AI to be able to do research for you and to be able
Got
to
it.
bring in big data and analytics. So you are not sitting and having to go through spreadsheets and documents upon documents, but AI could
Yeah.
be able to make that much faster, so you can make quicker decision making. So
Yeah.
business analytics, data sets, those are things that AI will do really, really, really well for you. Yeah, if you want to do copywriting and you want to be able, or you want to do marketing and create content for that, again, AI can be able to do that for you. But I think in the future, the larger opportunities and for businesses in general, and where society is going, is that most things will become automated.
Yeah.
So the factories of the future will be completely automated. We talk about robotics. Yeah, now you got, yes, robots going and picking up stuff and putting stuff. But when it comes to the actual planning, when it comes to actually your supply chain, when it comes to your stock control, inventory control, all of those kind of things will now be done by AI. The algorithms and the predicting of your robots that are on the street, your traffic lights, will now be able to be done by AI. Your road planning will be able to be done by AI and tell you, okay, this is where your most potholes are and we know we've got them at every 100 meters in Johannesburg. But
Yeah.
those kind of things. So the improvements are there. The good that AI can do is certainly going to be, and opportunities will be there. But it's whether we adapt fast enough and we embrace it
Yeah.
fast enough, because the most dangerous thing is that, and once again we go back, if you take too long, or we don't embrace it, or we don't adapt, or we don't learn it, and we don't use it, whether it is good or bad, that's a different discussion. That's not what we're discussing
Mm.
today. But if you
Agreed.
don't know how to control the good, or you don't know how to control the bad, and it's in somebody else's hands, and at the rate that it is developing and that is improving, it will be too late. Then we are
Yeah.
at the mercy of other nations. We are at the mercy of other corporations, etc.
Yeah.
And for a society and a country, especially like South Africa, I think it's really, really important that we are part of that conversation. If you look at geopolitics today, a large proportion of the geopolitics that's going on is for 5G and silicon chipsets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, it's technology driven, and that next one is going to be artificial. In fact, it's already happening. So we think, okay, maybe AI is sitting in the USA because OpenAI and Alphabet, Google are the two bigger ones, and now you got with X and Grok and these kind of stuff that's sitting in the United States and is controlled by them. It's not as simple as that. Because yes, Nvidia's chips are the most popular right now, and you can see Nvidia's share price is skyrocketing because they power these AI systems. But
Yeah.
China's rising very, very quickly. I mean, Huawei chips, Ascend chips, are now powering things like DeepSeek, and
Wow.
they can do it at 1/10 of the price of the American technology. So China is now saying, well, we want to be in this race, okay, because that's the next oil, that's the next gold rush.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world is looking at it, and we are sitting back and we're like, look at how fast AI is moving. Look at what China is doing. They just caught up and they've got DeepSeek, and now it's competing with the US, with Nvidia, and with OpenAI. But that's all we're doing, is we're talking about it. When are
Yeah.
we going to develop our own DeepSeek?
Yeah.
When are we going to
Gotcha.
develop our own chips, our own NVIDIA?
Yeah.
And I think that is what is seriously lacking in a country like South Africa.
Yeah. I got you. Oh, it's interesting. You always have that's a beautiful way of bringing in the intelligence side of that. Tell me, so on my side, what's and there's two things that I'm going to talk about: the opportunity, but what you're talking about now, and I'm an analyst at heart. I love numbers, I love data, I love all of that. But where is that data sitting? That's the thing. They can always say, obviously, there's a watchdog on it and that kind of thing. But just think of the power the source has with regards to the input. I mean, I've put in everything, well, pretty much almost everything of where my businesses are at, what my cash flow looks like, what proposals I'm doing, what I'm looking for. I mean, whoever's got access to that has got a whole host of information, and it's obviously tagged to me or to my email address. Isn't that a little bit scary?
It is totally scary, but like with anything, like with even your social media and stuff, or even the apps you use, do you really think that we are in 2025 and these corporations exist to give you stuff for free?
Thank you.
Is that a business? There's no free model. Your data is
Yeah,
the currency.
that's
We know
it.
we talk so much about large language models and machine learning. How does machine learn with big data? What is big
Yeah,
data and where does big data come from? It's your data.
yeah,
The
it's all
more you
around
use it,
you.
you keep feeding it. That's where we spoke. And in fact, we don't even. I mean, let's look at Google and Gemini and stuff like that, right? Just as an example, you use search engines. Even before Gemini, you just use Google search. Google goes based on what you are putting. It tries and searches. It scrapes the entire internet and crawls through everywhere and says, well, within that millisecond, which is the best information from which platform or which website or which forum, a blog, that I can now feed to Stephen to give him the response.
Agreed.
It needs to go so it knows where somebody is sitting in Timbuktu when it made a Reddit post.
Yeah,
Google can now see that. That data is now being used to train Gemini and to train
yeah,
the algorithms. You make a Facebook post. I mean,
yeah,
you'll go today and you go and search Akhram Mohamed on Google. Before any of my business or my career stuff comes up, you're probably going to get in the first page, in the first 2 lines, probably a hit from LinkedIn and Facebook and my Instagram.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, the social networks. So we've been consistently feeding that data, and it's owned by the corporations. Go and read their terms and conditions. As
Yeah,
much as they can tell you, we don't use and we don't do that. Of course they do,
yeah.
because
Oh,
all right, and they do it, and maybe a lot of yes, what they can do, and what I do believe that will be happening, especially on the paid versions, because you can delete, is they anonymize the data, or at least we hope
yeah,
that they do.
yeah.
So maybe the data for training is not linked directly to Stephen.
Gotcha.
And they know Stephen Segal, who's living in Centurion, South Africa, and he
Yeah,
has a rash on his arm.
yeah.
We know this now. He has a rash on his arm and he can't get rid of it.
Selling
No
rash
matter
cream.
what he's trying. Yeah, selling rash cream.
Ads.
you know, but do they know that you queried that rash and how to get rid of it? Absolutely, they
Yeah,
do.
for sure. And that's the one thing and why I brought it up as well, because there's so many people like, oh, I'm not going to log into this and use this because they're going to get my data. And I'm going, guys, please, there's a much bigger thing at play right now. And if you want that access, I'm always the first one to log on and to sign into the new app, and I see what the latest tech is. Every now and then, obviously, I have to read and check myself and say, okay, is this, what information they're asking, why they're asking the information. Am I willing to give it? Yes, no. Is it going to affect me? Could it possibly affect me? Nah, let me go for it. But
I
going
think,
back to, yeah.
I think that point is very important. I mean, to those people who say, are they going to get my data and all of that kind of stuff, right? Are the same people that still has a Facebook account, still has an Instagram account, and X and everything else, and are quite happy to get up in the morning and post what they're doing and where they've been on holiday and that there's nobody
Yeah.
home right now.
Yeah.
And they're not worried about that data, right? It's the same people who are so pissed off with spam callers, like I am, and
Yeah.
because we have the spam caller, pandemic here going on, we have Truecaller, but Truecaller allows me to upload in order for it to work, my entire phone book. So now, if you call me and I don't have your phone number, I can know exactly. Well, I know your name, at least your name and your surname. I take that and I cross-reference it against a social media handle or do a Google search. It brings up your Facebook account. On your Facebook account, I now saw pictures of you on a certain holiday, or you in your home, or maybe you silly and you posted a picture of your child you pick with their school uniform, and I now know which school your child goes to. It is 2025. If we really believe that we are living and we have privacy, we are sorely mistaken. We are absolutely mistaken. We can have the information regulator. Yes, we can have data privacy controls. But those are really there just for, the check marks and make sure things, for example, hackers don't get your bank account. Yeah, because we won't be silly enough to go put out our bank account. But you're also not going to be silly enough to put your bank account number and stuff like that onto ChatGPT.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
But
I did.
in terms of your personal day-to-day life stuff, we have it everywhere all the time. So, you know what? I think technology is moving, opportunities are coming up, the world is moving at such a pace, but through that, we are slowly losing our privacy. That's a fact.
Yeah. And people are paying millions for privacy. I know a couple of people that paying huge amounts just to be wiped. But the information's there, it's very hard to get.
Now, but if you are using a smartphone, which I think 99.9% of us are, even if you don't have any social media, you never touch ChatGPT or Gemini or any of that stuff, your data's still gone if you're using a smartphone. And people need to know that.
Yeah.
Because in order for a smartphone to function, it has permissions running in the background for you to feed with suppliers, with partners that manufacturers have, that they have data sharing agreements with. And you say, okay, in your terms and conditions, when you purchase a phone and you switch it on, that in order for your phone to work and for it to be optimized and work as it should, you share your data.
Yeah.
This is a fact.
Fair that. Absolutely fair that. So what I wanted to add, that last bit from me, is where I'm thinking opportunities are lying with regards to AI and those of people that are out there. There's still a lot of professions and there's still a lot of information from a point of view with regards to certain job skills that AI hasn't got information about. So where I'm headed with this is that my personal feeling, like, that there's AI bots now, that people are selling AI bots to be able to do whatever calculations or to answer your emails and that kind of thing. From a creative perspective specifically, is creating databases that AI can literally feed off. So what I mean by that is that when you are creating something and you're putting in an AI prompt, you have to say, go and get information from certain databases or data sets. You should know those. So if you build your own data set, I'm telling you from now, what will end up happening or moving forward is I'll sit there and say, okay, Akhram is the tech whiz. He's got the most amount of knowledge with regards to, let's say, cell phones. Go and reference Akhram Mohamed's data set with regards to information on the latest tech on phones, but then cross-reference it with Stephen's creative, whatever, and then assimilate that information into a response or into information for myself. So I think that from my side that I've picked up is where there's going to be a big gap, is actually feeding that. And I mean, it's a paid for thing. It can be a paid for thing. And I'm sure there's a way they're going to be linking it up. But that for me is a big opportunity. Before we go, because I see we've been on for about 55 minutes and I want to try and cap it at that 60. Other tech. What other tech has been blowing your head back that you're going, geez, this is something that people should know about?
No, I think it's just automation and robotics itself, right? I think everybody knows about it. It's not so much as, oh, geez, people should know about it, but how automation, robotics, AI, 5G, and all of this stuff is coming together. So it's not one specific technology. I mean, we've already made so much of progress, even when it comes to silicon and how small we've gone. We've gone on to 2 nanometers now. I mean, next, I don't know what the next size will be, next to nothing, right? It'll be microscopic, but these things are so small, but the amount of power and processing power. So I'm in awe of the fact that of how humanity has come so far And from the old massive servers of the day where you needed an entire building to house them, that now can be processed on an iPhone 17 Pro, and as smaller than your fingernail. That's what I'm in awe in, because it's not just about the technology, but human beings made that. So the
Yeah,
technology that I'm most in awe in, to answer your question, is the human brain.
absolutely.
That, because it is actually a technology. And the human brain, nothing. So for those people that are afraid of artificial intelligence or any technology for that matter, you shouldn't, because the human brain will always find a way to overcome and to innovate and to improve and to do better. Yes, the processing capabilities, AI will be able to figure things out much, much quicker than us. But if we have those controls in place and we have responsible people actually directing it, then the outcomes can be incredible. And
Yeah,
like you said, for the opportunity, when you mentioned just now about creating that content and actually feeding that information in, one of the opportunities I was thinking about is for prompt engineers.
yeah,
I mean, if people want to become a content creator like you, okay,
yeah,
they want to go and do this amazing stuff and they want to use AI to do it, but I don't know how. Why don't you go and learn AI really, really well and create
yeah,
all of the prompts, or the easiest prompts for somebody like me who wants to be able to say, well, if you want to get images like this is the prompt sequence. If you
yeah,
want to get videos for
absolutely.
TikTok and for an influencer, this is the prompt sequence. If you're
Yeah,
an accountant and you want to be able to analyze the spreadsheet and that data and get this result, these are the prompt sequence. And you have
yeah,
different ones, different types of roles and jobs or outcomes, and you can
yeah,
actually sell that on, or you can run workshop, or you can sell courses, but you
yeah,
train other people on how to improve their lives and their businesses using AI. I think that is a
yeah,
massive, massive opportunity. It doesn't require expensive tertiary education. It
um,
does not require, in fact, it doesn't require very much money at all. It requires you to actually stop doom scrolling and take your mobile phone and actually start prompting, and then improving those prompts and seeing what works and what the results and what works best, and actually create something.
agreed.
It's as simple as that.
Agreed. I totally agree. And the funny thing is now the guys are literally using ChatGPT to be able to create those prompts anyway. So I mean, it's you just have to think a little bit with
It's
regards to
reverse engineering, 100%.
yeah,
It's reverse engineering. I mean, for your listeners, your viewers at the moment, I mean,
yeah,
people are taking a photograph or a video, putting it into ChatGPT or Gemini, and then saying, what is or how should I prompt you if I want to create this type of video or this picture?
got
And
it.
then the chatbot actually gives you the prompts of what it should be in order to do that, and you just copy and you keep it on file and on record, and in future you use the same thing and you tweak it in terms of the scenes, in terms of the environment, or what the
Yeah,
outcomes is. But the basics from prompt structure can be provided, and it really
yeah,
just takes a little bit of effort or interest in actually using it to learn something or to improve your skills, rather than using it as a toy.
no, I agree with you. No, I totally agree with you. Anyway, so we're gonna have to cut it there because otherwise we're gonna talk for at least another 2 hours. But Akram, do me a favor, just give them your your handles on socials. Here is obviously Geek Hub that we were talking about. So go and check out
So yeah,
geekhub.co.za.
that's it, geekhub.co.za. And on social media, you can follow me at Akhram Mohamed on Instagram and Facebook, as well as X, and at the real AK on TikTok.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my first broadcast. It was awesome chatting to you. I know we can chat for hours. Let me tell you, those of you that are watching, Akram, you must get hold of him if you're looking for corporate consultation, various different topics. He's got a phenomenal brain on him, but he's got so many different companies that can help you with regards to that. So make sure you contact him. And I thank you, my friend, for taking the time to meet with me. I really appreciate you.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Love chatting to you, and thank you for giving me the honor of having me as your first guest. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've got my ticker here. So if anyone wants to contact us, there's my email address there. But make sure you also come and follow and keep an eye open because we're going to have a whole lot more chats with Akram. And I've got various different other guests that are going to be coming on. But Akram, again, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll be chatting to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Have a great weekend. Cheers.
You too. Cheers, man. All right, so that day we had Akhram Mohamed, a phenomenal, she's businessman. I'm just going to take these off here. A phenomenal businessman and entrepreneur. He's got so much information, the database, the people that he's been able to engage with and learn from. Because that's the one thing that I love about Akhram is that he's hungry for knowledge. He's hungry to be able to improve himself, and not just himself, but improve others. You'll see he's got a massive, massive heart, and he goes out and he's a doer. He's not wait for things to happen. It's about getting out there and doing it. And I think that's a big thing for anyone that's busy watching this, that is either maybe in corporate, that is wondering, what is my next step? I'm not saying your next step is out of corporate. I'm saying maybe it's time to take control of who you are and what you're doing in your current situation, and how are you maximizing it? Could you do something better? And some of you are saying, I'm doing everything I can, but there's always going to be something lagging. And that's what you have to look at. I think you have to take a step back and actually write it down. I'm old school with regards to things like that. I get a piece of paper, I write it down, pros, cons, what am I doing, what am I not doing, and do a self-analysis of where am I as a human being. We mustn't forget that we are human beings, and life is the most precious commodity. Time is the most precious commodity. No matter how rich you are, you can never buy time back. And it's what you use that time for is absolutely imperative. Then from another perspective, if you are potentially an entrepreneur and you're pushing hard, I mean, it's hard. I'm also an entrepreneur, various different companies. And the thing with me is every now and then it's fine to feel that down and it's not going to happen. And, maybe I should just give up and life's not worth it. You go through those motions, but make a choice to grow, make a choice to learn, make a choice to make, if you don't want to make yourself feel better, make someone else's life better. There's so much influence out there. And just don't forget as well, you think that you're on your own, but I'm telling you now, there's at least 2 or 3 people around you that look at you and admire you and want to be like you. We all influencers in our own right. We all have some sort of influence, whether it's our children, whether it's our family, whether it's some friends, or sometimes people we don't even know. So from that aspect, that's why I have this raw talk, is that I want to bring inspirational people on. I want to bring people that are going to help grow and show what life's about, and hopefully get you to the next place. I mean, that's where I am. I want growth. I want to have a legacy. I want to leave a legacy where I know that, when I leave this world, that someone has learned something or gone to the next step or enhanced their life because of something that I've potentially helped them with. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. It's Raw Talk with Stephen Segal. If you want to join the show, make sure you can send me an email here. It comes up at the bottom here. Just drop me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And if you've got any advice or any comments, make sure you leave it. But don't forget to like this, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you thought. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I will see you again very soon. And those of you that join me, thank you very, very much.